Okay, this week we're going to be doing more body work on the Trans Am. You might say, you gotta be kidding, more? Yeah, well, we're getting close, but we still ain't there yet. Well, I started looking at my body line, and on this side, lines up pretty good, but over here on the driver's side, not so much. It is way out of line. Put straight edge going from here, and you can see that's where it should be, but it's up here. I don't know if I can blame it on me for getting the quarter skin on there wrong, or maybe the panels just don't line up. I don't know, but it needs to be fixed, and I'm trying to come up with a method. I'm thinking maybe do a cut here, bring this out, do a slot here, hammer and dolly that down, try to create another body line. At this point, that's, you know, about all you can really do. But our gaps back here are not so good. I think I'm going to add a little bit here all the way down to somewhere in there. Do a little welding on that. So we're going to see if I make it look better or maybe worse. We will find out. So I'm going to get busy doing that. Okay, we have got this body line moved down, and it looks like, well, with a little bit of filler we can make it look right. So still got to deal with my gap here. I'm gonna put a little wire down through here, maybe down to about here, and see if we can't get this gap evened up. But I got to try to weld this up without warping the whole panel. It'd take a lot of patience. So another thing that I did, if I can get my hand down in this door, I put these rubber stoppers on here so that when the door closes, we know what the evenness is going to be. It's pretty good down here. It's pretty good up here, but here not so much, so might have to put a little filler in here. So we're going to go ahead and weld this up, get it all nice and smoothed out, add a little bit of material here and maybe down here, get that body line over the gap, you know, a little more even. So I'm going to go ahead and do some more welding on this. Okay, I got my new body line established here. It's not really crisp and even, but it's gonna just take a little bit of filler, and I think we can kind of block across the door and get it really nice and evened up. But I still got this gap to fix. Up here it's really tight, gets bigger, really big, a little bit smaller, and then on down here it's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this little 1/8" rod and weld it to the door, and you know, just do a good weld buildup, and then kind of sand it and grind it down to where I got my gap even. So I'm gonna go ahead and get going on that. Okay, I got my gap all tightened up back here. Got my weld all ground down, and I like it. It is so much better, even all the way down. Kind of warped the end of the door a little bit. I had to hammer dolly it to get it evened up, and it's pretty much flat across. We're gonna put a little bit of filler in here. There's some tiny pits, but I don't want to warp it anymore, so I think that a little bit of filler will work that in. For some reason though, this kind of caved in a little bit here, so I'm gonna put just a little bit of filler in there and see if we can block this out and get it looking really straight like we did in the front up here. So gonna mix up some filler, and boy, it's hot today. It's gonna harden quick, so I gotta work real quick, so we can go ahead and get going on that. Okay, it's the next day. The primer's all dried up. I got tired of filling in all little pits with the glazing compound, so I mixed up the primer as thick as it would go through the gun, put a whole bunch of hardener in it, got a bunch of runs, but I ran the DA over it, got all the runs knocked down. Kind of getting tired of sanding. So before I block this out, I'm gonna go over to the other side, do a little welding, trying to get my gap fixed on the other side. Just needs a little bit. It's not as bad as this side. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can work on that. Well, that didn't last long. Let's try this again. Okay, I got my weld all smoothed out inside and out, and I'm really liking the gap now. Looks a lot better. So now I think we can put a little filler and even it up. But before I do that, I need to put my little rubber bump stops in there so that it'll sit where it's going to sit, so that way we're not evening it out and then readjusting it without these in there. So gonna go ahead and get going on that and get it all evened up. Okay, that's what the holes are for, to poke the little tips through. Okay, it's the next day and my glazing compound is all hardened up. I went over it with the DA, just kind of knock it down a little bit. But I got a gift card for Harbor Freight for Father's Day, and I got this pneumatic body file. Might kind of help with all the sanding I got to do. So I'm gonna get this dude hooked up and see if we can get this flattened out. Okay, that is a lot faster than doing it by hand. Maybe I should have got that thing a while ago. Still got little tiny defects here and there that I got to fill in. Mix up a little bit of glazing compound and get those fixed and then run it over it again. But it's nice and flat now. Everything's lining up. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the little defects and maybe come in tomorrow and spray some primer on there. Okay, it's a couple days later and I've been busy getting everything sanded down. Ran a DA over it with 180. I've got it jacked up with the wheels off. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pretty much spray the whole car down with primer sealer. Now that we've got most of our body work done. And I got it up in the air so I can spray all the way down to the bottom of the doors. Got all this E-coat scuffed up. Got the roof all sanded down with the flash rust. Got this sanded down and got my body work done over here. Seems to be nice and flat. A few little tiny defects, but after I put the primer sealer on, I'm going to spray it down with some more sandable primer and then block the whole car down. So before I can spray, we got to get all the dust off of it. And of course I'm going to repaint the dash and the inside. It's getting to get overspray, but we'll mask that off And I got my hood on, and I got it fitting pretty good. Gap looks really nice here. Fairly good here. I mean, it's a tiny bit off, but it's not a whole awful lot you can do with that. The new hinges seem to work really good. But before I spray it down, I need to get my fender flares off the front so we can get primer sealer behind those. And I got some help to wipe all the dust down. So we're gonna get busy with that. Okay, these are like the hardest bolts to get to up under here. They're like up in there. I mean, really difficult. It's hard putting them in because you can't hardly fit your fingers in there. But ratchet wrench works. So I'm gonna try to get these to come out of here and get these fender flares off so we can paint underneath them. And once we do that, we can start wiping it down, getting ready for some primer sealer. That's one. Oh, we're going to take that Phillips screw out up here. That way we can pull out on it, and the ratchet wrench might actually work. Come on, come on out of there. Oh, stuck. I don't want to come out.
Here we go. Looks like it.
No, it's still stuck.
It's stuck. No.
Oh. Oh, there we go. Finally. All right. Now I can pull out on this, and I can find my ratchet wrench, and maybe the wrench will go back and forth. Man, did I put some long bolts in there or what?
I think you did that.
Yeah. Still. Finally.
Out. Yay, he's out.
There you go.
Okay. Tim's got the little fender flares off, and I vacuumed inside, got all the dirt up, and our next step is to wipe down the whole entire car, get it all dust free, and then Tim is going to paint it to where it's all the same color of primer paint. So then we'll have it all one color. So here we go with that.
Okay, now that I found my mask, I guess I can get going on the painting. I've got my epoxy primer all mixed up over here, and I'm going to concentrate on the roof first because it's bare metal, and when I was stripping it down I got some deep grind marks in it. The paint was pretty tough. So we're gonna get several coats on there to try to fill all that in. Once that's done, I'm gonna get my little stepping stool things that I got set up here out of the way, and then I can go ahead and start spraying the rest of the car. But I want to get this covered up because I'm tired of sanding it over and over again to get the flash rust off, that and the trunk. So we're gonna see if we can get it all one color and then put on multiple layers and then block sand everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and start spraying. Okay, we pretty much got the whole car sprayed down, all the same color. No longer a patchwork of bodywork and whatnot, but we got at least 3 coats on everything, 4 where it was bare metal, and everywhere where we did our bodywork and filler and sander, it's pretty straight. But I did notice that over here where the lead is, we still got some, you know, unevenness and stuff. It's not terrible. I don't think it's gonna need any filler. I'm hoping that when I spray on some more sandable primer, it'll fill in any little defects. But I'm gonna have to let this epoxy primer sealer set for about a week. I know that it says you can sand in 3 hours, but I want it to harden really good. Got a few dust bunnies in it and stuff. Just want everything to harden up. Then I can scuff it down, put some more layers of sandable primer, and then go ahead and guide coat and block the whole car out. So meanwhile, I'm gonna have to find me a little project to keep me busy so I don't get impatient and let this cure thoroughly. So let's see if we can come up with something to do. Okay, I found me a little project to keep me busy while the paint's curing on the Trans Am. Been wanting to fill in this gigantic hole and all these Swiss cheese holes on this hood for the Belvedere, and I got me an old hood over there, or no, it's a tailgate rather, and it's got like a curve to it. So I was thinking I'll experiment around and see if I can make like a little bit of a cowl hood on it, and that'll help fill in the hole, and it might give me a little bit of room for the carburetor with that big 440 in there. So gonna have to get this paint stripped off. Looks like there's a whole bunch of layers on there. So I'm gonna have to get busy with that. Okay, I just remembered the wife got me a stripper for Father's Day. You know, not many wives would do that, but you know, I guess, you know, I don't know what y'all were thinking, but this kind of, you know, a paint stripper. So I'm gonna try this thing out and see if it's gonna drag me across the hood and out in the field. Can't be that bad. So we're gonna go ahead and start stripping all this really thick layers of paint off of here. At first I thought it was pretty useless, but then I realized I had it on one. It actually kicks ass on number 6. So we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of this stripped out and do a little modifying. Okay, I got the area that I want to weld on all stripped down really good. And I cut out the pieces from the tailgate because I was looking at it and I said, it's got these nice little curves in it. And if I cut one half and the other half and put them together, it'll look like a hood scoop. So, I think what I'm gonna do is kind of round this a little bit, flatten these out, bring them together and weld a bead down through the middle and kind of put some sort of screen in the back here. I think it'll look really cool. So I guess tomorrow I'm gonna either get the welder over here to the hood or the hood over to the welder, one of the two. That way I can tack this, do some measurements, get it centered up, do a little bit better fitting. But that's kind of the general idea. So now you can kind of see what I had in mind. Okay, it's the next day and it's fixing to rain out there. So I got my hood back here in the little workshop and I've got my two halves cleaned up and kind of evened them up, you know, made them the same width. And what I'm going to try to do here is do a few tack welds to hold it together, and then right down through the middle I'm going to try to do the cut and butt, use these little butt clamps. I'm really tempted to lap weld it, but I think that might warp worse and it'll be hard to keep the two layers together. But if I do the cut and butt, I can use these to hold it together and just do a few tacks and try to keep it from warping. So we're going to see if this is going to work. Okay, I've done my cut all the way down except for right here, and I'm set up to do my butt weld, and I'm gonna just do a few little tacks and then keep moving my clamps down, and we'll see if we can keep from just warping the hell out of this. Gonna have to be really patient. But that's why I'm doing it now instead of when it's there, because then maybe I can hammer and dolly and straighten it out a little bit and it'll be all one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and start tacking this. Okay, I was starting to go ahead and stitch it up, but it's already kind of bowing up in the middle, which isn't too bad, but I don't want it to bow too much. I think I can hammer some of it out, but it's getting kind of late today and I need to leave it alone and let it cool down. So I think I'm gonna come in tomorrow and see if we can very slowly weld this up, grind it down, do a little hammer work, and see if we can fit it on there. Start tacking it down. Okay, I got my bead welded up and smoothed out, and it's a little bit rough, but it's all going to get covered with fiberglass and bodywork. And I put a filler piece in the back here and tacked it in place and curved it to the shape of the hood, and got it measured out where I'm gonna put it. And right here I'm gonna put a few tack screws to hold this down to conform to the shape of the hood, and I might even put a couple plug welds there. Once I get that front tack down, I'll go ahead and start working my way back, tacking it down, put a little fiberglass in there. And I'm thinking maybe I'll put a little metal rod right down through the middle, tack weld it, and then kind of fill it with a little fiberglass to kind of keep that little peak right there going. I don't know, it would kind of look weird if we didn't keep that peak going, but it might look weird if we do, so I'm gonna have to think about that. I can always do that after I get it all tacked down. So I'm gonna get some etching primer on the bottom of this and map out where I need to paint underneath, and get some weld through primer where I'm gonna weld, and start tacking it down. Okay, I got the etching primer underneath where I ain't gonna be able to paint, and same on the scoop, and I got the weld through primer around the perimeter, and I've already put tack screws to line it up, so I'm gonna get it screwed down now so that I can start welding this scoop down. Okay, we're just about ready to start tacking this down. I'll probably have to put a few more tack screws, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and put this little metal rod and tack it so that this bead down the middle will kind of continue up over it. It kind of look weird if it went with this and then nothing there, just flat. So just tack it down, add a little bit of fiberglass and shape it. So I guess next is start welding it up, but it's that time of week when we got to download and start editing. So I think what I'll do is just make a little short video of finishing up this hood. If anyone's interested in seeing how it turns out, we'll be putting a video out on that here in another couple of weeks. So we appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see y'all next time.